into motion in the first place. It means we believe in meritocracy and hard work and the pursuit of excellence. That you do get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. That's why we're done with the woke DEI agenda and the group quota systems and affirmative action, because we believe in merit in the United States of America. What does it mean to be American? It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the proud son of legal immigrants to this country. Right? Where's Srinivas? We met him beforehand. Right here, buddy. Built a business right here. You introduced him to him. Thank you. Legal immigrants like yourself. That also means that your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. And that is why, if we've had the largest influx of illegals into this country in American history, then it means we ought to have the largest mass deportation in American history. That's not racist. That's not xenophobic. That's what it means to stand for the rule of law in the United States of America. It means the people we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government. Not unelected bureaucrats in the deep state, whether that's three-letter agencies in Washington, D.C., or frankly, three-letter agencies in Columbus, Ohio. It ought to be we, the people, that create a government that is accountable to us, not the other way around. Right, what does it mean to be American? It means we believe in free speech and open debate. That you get to speak your mind in the open without the government standing in your way, as long as I get to in return, and your neighbor does too. Even the protesters outside. And I missed them. I was a little late, but I heard were there protesters? I mean, I heard there. Okay. Were they in a good mood tonight or a bad mood tonight? They're confused. You're actually right about that. I'll tell you a funny story about the protest. So I drove here from Toledo earlier today, but I met someone who, actually I met with a few people who I had met at the Lucas County Lincoln Day dinner earlier today as well. And when I went to the Lucas County Lincoln Day dinner, it was really funny. So we had, thank you for the warm reception, everybody here. They had a nice warm reception. There was a photo line that formed. There was a guy who stood for about half an hour till the end, and he took a picture. He had me sign a book that he'd bought. His son was there. And I asked him a question. I said, well, where's your wife? He said, she's actually one of the protesters outside. I said, come on, get her in here. Get her in here. So I said, call her. So he called her. We were together. I said, let's pick up the phone. Let's call her. He said, she didn't pick up the phone. She's on protest time right now. So that's that. And then but even we make progress. I promise you I would have talked to those protesters earlier tonight. We came from the county reception beforehand. If it weren't for that, we would have actually spent some time with them, because I was in Wayne County on Saturday night. I kid you not. There was a woman who was really angry at me. I mean, she was not happy. Okay? I'm coming. She starts screaming at me. She says, why are you going to cut veterans' benefits? And I said, what did you say? She said, why are you going to cut veterans' benefits? I said, we're not cutting veterans' benefits. She said, no, you're cutting veterans' benefits. I said, really, I'm not. It would be a poor platform for running for governor to say my campaign pledge is to cut veterans' benefits. And you can't even do that as a governor. Actually, it's not even the way it works. It's a federal issue. So I'm not cutting your veterans' benefits. She said, oh, okay, well, I don't know where I heard that, but somebody told me that. And she was kind of almost like almost lighthearted about it when I gave her a chance. So we said, okay, well, are you a veteran? She said, yes. I said, where did you serve? She said, I served in the Vietnam War. I said, well, you know what? We respect our Vietnam War veterans in the party I'm part of. Why don't you come in and have dinner with us tonight? So she came in and she joined us at the head table, right at the equivalent of where the chairman's sitting here. And I saw her. She wasn't sure whether she was allowed to clap or not, because she didn't want to betray her protesters outside. But over the course of it, she warmed up. And by the end of it, we asked her to stand up, and the entire audience, they knew she was a protester outside, still applauded for a Vietnam War veteran. We called her on stage, and by the end of the night, she said, you know what, you all have changed my perspective on Republicans tonight. Which I thought was a beautiful thing, right? There's hope. Not for 100%, but there's hope. To me, that's what it means to be American. This is who we are, that we're courageous, that we're brave, when called upon, even heroic, to do what is right for our country in our hour of need. That's what our founding fathers did in 1776. I believe we got it right in November for the future of this country. And that's what we're now going to lead here in Ohio. Because in the next chapter of our national journey, it is actually going to be the states that lead the way. And that's not a novel idea. That's what our founders envisioned. So this is where I believe we here in Ohio have now a historic chance, not just to follow Texas and Florida. I love those states. But it's now Ohio's moment, not just to be in the shadow of our other conservative friends. This is our moment here in Ohio to lead the way. Not just to be one of the better states in our region, but to be the top state in the country when it comes to giving our kids every tool they deserve to live the American dream. To give our kids. I'm a father of 2 sons. My older son is going to be in high school by the time I'm done. Hopefully his 2 terms as governor, if you guys put me in there twice. He'll be in high school by the time we're done. I want our sons, and my sons and your kids, to grow up in the state where they're able to be proud of their country and their state, not ashamed of it. To live the full arc of the American dream, to generate wealth in this state, and to preserve it without apology, with pride, to embrace capitalism and meritocracy instead of apologizing for it or hiding their success. Where we give our kids a world-class education in the foundational subjects and the subjects of the future. Where we're the state that patriots across this country flock to, not just Texas or Florida. I want to lead Ohio to be the state of excellence in the United States of America, all right? That's where we're headed. And I don't think we're far away from it. Now, talk to our friends in Texas and Florida and some of our older friends from New York and even friends in Silicon Valley, and they'll say, that's all well and good, that's a little cute, okay, but don't get carried away. How could Ohio be that state? Right, the meme on the internet for young people in the last few years in Gen Z is, if they see something that's a little bit old or out of touch or out of fashion, the meme is only in Ohio, right? Which irritates me, to be honest with you. Because it wasn't long ago that people weren't making fun of Ohio. They were aspiring to be Ohio. At the turn of the last century, we were the wealthiest state in the Union, the 3rd most populous state in the United States of America. Even in the 1950s, right, all that time, we were an industrial powerhouse, an economic powerhouse at the heart of the first industrial revolution, with fertile farmland, great natural resources. A city that even in the 1950s, not the 1850s, the 1950s, not that long ago, had 6 of the top 15 wealthiest cities in America right here in Ohio. Toledo, where I was earlier today, was the glass capital of the world. Akron was the rubber capital. Youngstown and Cleveland led in steel production for the Western Hemisphere. My hometown of Cincinnati was known around the world as the Queen City, the city of consumer products innovation. The city of Porkopolis is what they called us. Dayton, where I was earlier, was also a city known around the world for being the computing power engine of the first industrial revolution. That's who we were. Even in the 1960s, people will be shocked at this, in the year 1960, there were more people in Ohio than there were in Texas. Right? Today, Texas has 3 times our population, but 1960 is not that long ago. See, we're the state of the pioneers, the explorers, the unafraid, the people who no bureaucracy or government would dare stop from achieving the maximum of our own God-given potential. And there's a special thing that happens to especially young people when they're born into that state. You see, they gain the self-confidence to achieve what they were previously told was impossible. They gain the self-confidence to do things like becoming the first people to take flight after having been born and raised right here in Ohio, as the Wright brothers did. They dream of becoming the first American to go into orbit around planet Earth like John Glenn did when he was born, raised, living right here in Ohio as he did it. They do crazy things like saying that, you know what, I'm going to be the first man in human history to walk on the moon, born, raised, living right here in Ohio as we did it. That was Neil Armstrong. This is our heritage. We were the state of excellence in the United States of America. And you know what? We can be that state again. Because if you think about it, it's not just my hopes and ambitions for our state. I believe in facts. You look at the hard facts. We have every single same God-given gift we did the first time around. The same natural resources, the same fertile farmland, the same natural gas and oil underneath our ground. In fact, we know it's more valuable now than we did the first time around. The same great geographic location. We're in a body of water right here. Erie Canal to New York City, Ohio River to the Mississippi, with 60% of North America's population, not just America's population, but North America's population, within a single day's drive of where we're having dinner right now. So you know what I say? God has blessed our state with every gift we could wish for, to be the state that leads America back to greatness. All we have to do is to actually believe in ourselves, to be the people who actually do it. And for my part, I do. I believe in this state. I believe in our future. I have bone-deep conviction that, you know what, we're in the middle of a second industrial revolution now. If Silicon Valley led the way for the last 10 years, it's going to be the Ohio River Valley for the next 10 years. That's what's coming. Done with the Rust Belt. We're bringing the Platinum Belt to Ohio. Now, I'll level with you. I'll be frank with you. This may not be just in the sectors of the past. I don't want to lead Ohio back to 1950. I want Ohio to represent to the country and to the world in 2030 what Ohio represented to the country and the world in 1950. And that's a different point. We're not just chasing the sectors of the past. We're also chasing the sectors of the future, from semiconductor production to nuclear energy and natural gas to power our electric grid without apologizing for it, proud of it, without actually holding ourselves back, unleash our capacity from biotech innovation to Bitcoin, to our defense industrial base. The state where we use AI not to take jobs, but to make jobs through workforce training and education. This is where I want to lead our state. This is our modern-day Northwest Ordinance in Ohio right now. When a group of Baptists braved the West to forge the frontiers of Ohio to secure religious liberty and freedom of speech, even before the Constitutional Convention, that was Ohio, and this is our moment in Ohio again. It is our Northwest Ordinance to say, you know what, we are a conservative state. We do believe in the values this country was founded on and to conserve them. That's what it means to be a conservative. That's not going to lose us elections. That will win us elections because it's going to put more money in your pockets. And you know what? It's going to put more money in Democrat pockets too, and I'm okay with that, all right? It's going to lift up more people from poverty. It's going to give our kids that missing self-confidence that Neil Armstrong had, that John Glenn had, that the Wright brothers had, that they deserve to have as their birthright as Ohioans and as Americans. It's going to make us the state that people across this country, patriots, including our kids and our grandkids, who have left this state will flock to and flock back to as we lead the country back to greatness. And I do believe, right now more than ever, that's going to require a leader from the next generation to lead Ohio. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. What's your name, ma'am? Stand up, ma'am. What's your name? Leon, good to see you. We met before. It's good to see you.
You're the leader. You're brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. You are very kind, Leon. We're each given our gifts, and we're going to use them to take our state and our country to the next level. Now, there are going to be some changes required to get there. And I say this acknowledging we're a great state, but great is never good enough. And if we want to take our state to the next level, there's always going to be some changes we're going to have to make. We'll be honest about them as we make them. Number one change is we have a declining population in this state right now. That's something we're going to have to contend with. We've got more people leaving our state than moving in. And if you look at who's moving out versus who's moving in, I like to get to the facts. Who's moving out? They tend to be younger, college-educated people. The people moving in tend to be, and we love them, but they tend to be on government aid coming from our neighboring states. So demographically, that doesn't work for us in the long run. People in my generation are having fewer kids. As they have an aging population, more people are dying. We have 11 million people and shrinking. How do we turn this around, get to 15 million patriots and growing in the state of Ohio? We've got to make this the state that is the cradle of the American dream. And once a month, every month this campaign, we're going to lay out some groundbreaking ideas that leverage the power of what Albert Einstein called the greatest discovery of man, compound interest, to generate wealth for our kids in the next generation starting at a young age. But I'll share one of them with you tonight, which is a simple one. On my watch as your next governor, we will make Ohio a zero income tax state because you deserve to keep what you earn. It is your money, not the government's. And we should celebrate success for every Ohioan instead of apologizing for it. It's not just the income taxes. It's going to be the property taxes, too. We put a ceiling on them. They're unjustly high in our state. I mean, tell me this makes sense to you. People are paying as much on their property taxes as they are on their interest and principal repayments on their mortgage. That's unjust. It's antithetical to our values as Ohioans. It's un-American. And I think that we need to be a state that brings the mentality of really getting the government out of the way of your own ability to live the best possible life you can right here in Ohio. Get the regulatory albatross off the shoulders of small businesses, from water treatment facilities that go through permitting timelines that are way too long. You know about the water treatment plants? Thank you. Stand up, sir. I appreciate that. That's a big asset of our state, is our water right where we are, from here to the northwest part of our state. It shouldn't take 3 years for a permitting timeline for a new water treatment facility, or 36 months for a new natural gas pipeline. Right? Who was I talking to earlier at the other event beforehand? You were talking about natural gas production. Are you here, sir? Right here. Right here. Yeah. Please stand up, sir. Remind me your name again. Remind me your name again. Tom. We were having a conversation about the fact that there's coal plants shutting down in our state, but we can't get the natural gas-fired power plant to be built fast enough because the permitting timeline for building a new natural gas pipeline is too long. It's 36 months here. In Texas, it's 12 months. It's going to be 6 months or less on my watch as your next governor, because we're a red state, but not a state of red tape. For every new regulation they try to put up on my watch, we're going to require they rescind at least 10 others before I even consider it. All right, we want to be the state where we unleash our industrial boom of a kind we have not seen since the first industrial revolution. The state where we lead Ohio to manufacturing dominance, to energy dominance, frankly, even to dominance in a position of leadership in the AI revolution that's coming here in Ohio, too. The state where we build more homes to bring down the cost of housing. Build manufacturing plants, build startups, build small businesses that grow up to be big businesses, build wealth without apology, build a life in the mold of the American dream. So we are no longer a state where little league teams have to shut down because they can't find a local company to sponsor them, or a mom doesn't have to think twice before having a second or third or fourth kid for fear of the cost of a new stroller or buying a bigger car. A state where every parent has that bone-deep conviction that their kids will go on to live an even better life than they did while staying here in our state of Ohio. Now to get there, thank you. I appreciate that. Now to get there, there's one important missing link to this. We can't be the state of economic excellence in America without also being the state of educational excellence in America. Okay, and right now we are in the thick of an educational achievement crisis in the United States. I don't use that word lightly. It is a crisis when 75% of 8th graders are not proficient in math for their grade level. It is a crisis when the average student in China is a full 4 years ahead of the average student here in the United States by academic year. Now, think about that. That means a 7th grader here is performing at the equivalent level of a 3rd grade student in China. That's unacceptable. There's kids in other countries where English is now not even their first language, doing better on English proficiency. That's our national language. Doing better on English proficiency than our own students here. And I think I speak for every parent in this room, as an Ohioan and as an American, when I say that we refuse to stand by and idly watch as the United States decays in comparison to China? No. We're going to turn this ship around. We're going to turn it around in Ohio. We will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country and in the world, to give our kids a world-class education in the foundational subjects of math, reading, writing, physical education, civic education, financial literacy. This is what we're starting here in our home state. Now, some of this will require time-tested solutions like taking our school choice programs to the next level. School choice has been successful in Ohio. I give credit to the people who came before me for adopting some pretty good school choice measures, and we can go even further. The full distance that Iowa and Arizona have gone. Even making homeschooling a viable option for parents who desire it. And that's what we're going to do in this state. We're going to go even further on something that's already worked well. But I'll also tell you, because I've traveled this state, there are many parts of this state where, like it or not, the public school is the only choice that is available. And we have no choice but to make sure that our public schools are also equipped to compete with the best of the alternatives. That's going to require some real change and some real leadership. This isn't just playing catch up with the rest of the country. Here we're going to lead the country by making sure, let's start with making our kids show up to school. I mean, since the COVID-19 pandemic, and it wasn't really the man-made virus so much as the man-made policy response to the virus, we have an absenteeism issue that's spread across our state like an epidemic. 25% chronic absenteeism in some parts of our state. Well, I promise you this is the basic stuff. As your next governor, never again will we bend the knee to a fake Anthony Fauci knockoff who allowed our public schools to be shuttered while our private schools remain open. I call her Mrs. Fauci. She's my opponent in this race. And you know what? She owes those kids an apology. We're going to beat her by 40 points in the general election with your help and reunite Ohio with a landslide. But that's just the basic level. Beyond that, we're going to stand for the achievement of our students, from the sports fields to the classroom. We're going to stand for the achievement of our students by making sure we have the best teachers actually stepping up to teach them, equipped with the tools they need to do it well. Our teachers we actually met Lisa. Where are you, Lisa, before? Lisa, you want to stand up, Lisa? Thank you for saying hello. Middle school teacher. Yeah, middle school teacher. That's a tough job. I'll tell you something. I'll ask you a question. I don't know what you're going to say because we didn't talk about this, so she might embarrass me here. But you know what? If I'm wrong, you tell me. I think our teachers and our principals need to be empowered, especially in our cities, to bring back a culture of discipline to the classroom that we have long lost, to be able to give students the boundaries within which they operate. And I'll also tell you, this is not a standard Republican talking point, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. I think our best public school teachers deserve to be paid a lot more than they are right now, because you can't live the American dream on a starting salary of $40,000 a year, which is what it is in most of our state. What do you think about that, Lisa? Yeah?
So disheartening. When you talk about middle school kids, I have 8th graders, they don't know what 3 times 4 is. Like,
8th graders who don't know what 3 times 4 is a problem.
Like,
Yeah.
they are expected to, for instance, add, multiply, fractions.
Yeah.
When they don't know the basics. But yeah, they're going to graduate.
So that Lisa makes a good point. So they can't hear you on this side. So I'm gonna say what you're saying is thank you, Lisa. Give Lisa another round of applause, guys. She's a middle school teacher. You're a hero. I mean, if you believe, as I do, that this is a crisis in our country, then our public school teachers are really like our first responders. So I consider you and your peers, Lisa, to be a first responder. But her point is true. There's a fear of failure, of failing a student. So we treat them like widgets on an assembly line where we just keep them moving, where in fact it's not really a service to the student. That's not compassion, that is cruelty. And so I want to create a system in this state where the best public school teachers can be paid more, but it's got to be tied to some measure of performance management. Not just teaching to the test, but basic performance management, collaborating in the school, parental assessments of whether their kids are actually thriving in the classroom. That's where I want to lead our public education system. To lead the country, not just in math, reading, and writing, but also in physical education. We're going to bring back PE as early as kindergarten. We're going to bring back the presidential fitness test in the state of Ohio. Frankly, I don't know why we got rid of it in the first place. And in all seriousness, it's not just physical health. It's mental health, too. We're in the middle of a mental health epidemic right now that it's festered in our state and our region for too long. The cycle of depression, anxiety, fentanyl usage, opioid addiction, suicide, that is really a symptom of that deeper loss of purpose and meaning in our young people. Our young people are hungry to be part of something bigger than themselves. But we got to fill that void with the real thing. Individual, family, nation, and God beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate. If we have the courage to stand for what is right, what is true. Start every morning with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence to go along with it. It's actually good for our young people. Replace the woke indoctrination and victimhood psychology with actual civics lessons, actual U.S. history lessons that teach our kids to be proud of our country rather than ashamed of it. And some of this comes with some tough love. Right? There's no love without some tough love from time to time. Okay? Every high school senior who will graduate from an Ohio public high school on my watch will have to pass the same civics test that every legal immigrant has to pass before becoming a voting citizen in the case of an immigrant, before becoming a high school graduate in the case of an Ohio public high school senior. See, and that lays the foundation for then reviving and revitalizing higher education after that. I say this as a product of four-year college education myself. Right? My wife, who's the true hero of the family, she's a throat surgeon at the cancer hospital, the James Hospital at Ohio State. Thank you for giving her a round of applause and recognizing her. She was in the operating room today. Okay? She went through a four-year college education. And so for every young man and woman who wants to become a doctor or an entrepreneur or CEO or whatever path may require for them a four-year college degree, great. I support that, and I want the best universities right here in Ohio. But I also recognize that my path can't be the only path. And if we really want to be the state that leads the United States, then that means every young man and young woman in this state who wants to become a welder or a mechanic or an electrician or a machine operator can also live the American dream without four-year college debt, without occupational licensing requirements, with earn-while-you-learn programs integrated as early as high school. So our young men and young women who feel like four-year college education may not be for them can engage with actually making some money, putting some money in the pockets of especially some of those young men who are age 16, 17, 15 years old, who can actually have that sense of pride instead of sitting in their parents' basement playing video games, smoking pot, ending up on government aid for many of them. We got to break that cycle of dependence to have true independence from the government aid culture that we have created. That's our declaration of independence in the modern day. Give our kids the tools they need to stand on their own 2 feet with pride. For every son and daughter who wants to become that doctor or engineer or programmer, great, you do that and we celebrate it. That may be, some may call that elite, I call it great. You do that and we should be proud of you, just as we should be proud of every son and daughter who wants to become that electrician or plumber or mechanic or welder. That's who we are. Every path is open to every child. And you see, that's what a true meritocracy is about. A nation that recognizes that every one of us, every one of you, every one of our kids has your own unique God-given gift, distinct from every other person in the world, actually. And that we are the country where you get to make the most of your own unique God-given gifts without any man or system or government or bureaucracy standing in your way. That is what made America great the first time. That is how we will make Ohio great again. A state where our kids grow up not being spiteful to somebody else's success that succeeded through capitalism because they're envious, because they're actually participating in it themselves with real skin in the game. That's my message to my 2 sons and to your kids. This is the state where the American dream is your birthright, where a world-class education is your birthright, where success is your birthright, freedom is your heritage, and excellence is your destiny. This is not a humble vision for our state, I will admit that. It is an ambitious vision because I believe that is who we really are as Ohioans and as Americans. We don't whine, we win. We're not victims, we're victors. That is who we are. I want to celebrate one man tonight. He's not a victim, he's a victor. He wasn't even supposed to be here tonight. I'll tell you why. Robert, you want to stand up? Robert, we're going to recognize you tonight. You don't have to stand up, but if you're able to, we want to. I'll tell you about Robert. He's had stage 4 cancer. He was told he was not supposed to live past 6 months ago. And here he is tonight wearing a tie of the American flag, celebrating us. Fight, fight, fight. That's what Robert's done for us. You know what? 6 months ago they said you weren't going to be here. You're standing up. Fight, fight, fight. And now you know what he told me tonight? He's not going anywhere until he sees me as the next governor of Ohio. That's what he told me. So Robert, you know a thing or two about overcoming victimhood, don't you? I'm proud of you, Robert.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. He said he hung around this long. He's going to hang around and vote for me. I appreciate that, Robert. You hang around for Trump, you'll hang around for me. I appreciate that. All right, we're not going to let you down. This is who we are. We're going to fight for my kids and your grandkids and every one of the kids of parents in this room to make sure they can live the same American dream this state gave to me. We're going to fight every day for the future of our state. We're visiting all 88 counties this year. We're visiting all 88 counties next year. I'm going to visit all 88 counties every one of the 8 years that I serve as your next governor. All right? We don't want to govern from a bubble. We want to listen to you. We want to work with you. Not just the people in this room, but the people who aren't in this room either, for that matter, okay? We got a big tent coalition. I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, Libertarian, Orphan, Reagan, Democrat, frankly, anybody who's politically homeless in this state. All right, we're going to bring a home in for you, to a seat at the table for you in this movement. If you care about economic excellence for your kids and educational excellence for your kids, if you care about giving the next generation the same shot at the American dream that this state gave to me, then we are going to work together to lead our state to the next level, because we are no longer a state in decline. We are not a region in decline. We are not a nation in decline. We are a nation and a state still in our ascent, still on our way up to that shining city on a hill. That state and that country where we will look our children in the eye and mean it when we tell them that you get ahead in the United States of America with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication. And that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. So that 10 years from now, when we're sending manned rockets to Mars, when we're powering our electric grid with nuclear energy, when we're curing previously incurable forms of diseases, maybe even stage 4 cancer, with cures discovered right here in the state of Ohio. You know what our young people are going to say then? Only in Ohio. Thank you guys for having me, Lorain. God bless you and your families, and may God bless our United States of America and our great state of Ohio. Fight, fight, fight. We got your back, brother. Thank you. Thank you.